Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS. According to the latest data published by International Monetary Fund, India is the sixth largest economy in the world. What are the reasons behind this? Let's understand. Before I start the session, here is a very important announcement. On 19th April, Unacademy is conducting All India UPSC CSE Prelims mock test. Those who are appearing for the Civil Services Exams 2026 Prelims, this is a must take test for all of you. Test yourself before the UPSC will test you. To register, there is a link provided in the description box. Click on it, register, do not miss out 19th April 2026. And this is free of cost for all the UPSC aspirants. Let me begin the discussion. The government of India last year made an announcement that India's GDP in the global market is the fourth largest. And by the year 2028, India will go on to become the third largest economy in the world. According to the latest rankings which are published by International Monetary Fund, it has put India's rank at sixth position, not at the fourth position. So, what has happened in the last couple of months? That India's ranking has fallen down, slipped from the fourth position to the sixth position. Let's analyze the important reasons. The two most important reasons that has led to the change in India's ranking are one, the depreciation of the domestic currency, that is Indian rupee, and the second one is the rebasing exercise for the GDP that has been conducted by government of India. The first one, what is the connection between the rupee value and India's GDP ranking? GDP basically refers to the market price of all the final goods and services which are produced in India. And whenever you read this data, which is published in the newspaper, this is published in the form of rupees. The rankings in the global market, which are published by the IMF, it is not based on what is the value of the respective country's GDP in the domestic currency. It is generally mentioned in the form of dollars, which means your GDP value, which is calculated in the form of rupees, now will have to be converted into dollar. And when the rupee depreciates, depreciation meaning the value of rupee against the dollar has fallen down. And I'm pretty sure all of you have seen this happening since 2024. In the financial year 26 itself, the Indian rupee has lost 10% value against the dollar. And when the value of rupee falls down against the dollar, your GDP number could be larger. But because the rupee has lost value, when you convert the rupee value into the dollar number will be smaller. Just to give you a simple example, imagine your GDP number is 100 rupees. And right now, hypothetically, the exchange rate is $1 is equal to 20 rupees, which means your GDP when converted into dollar will become equivalent to $5. But if the rupee depreciates against the dollar, becomes $1 is equal to, let's say, 25 rupees. Your GDP number, although the GDP number could be same, that is 100 rupees itself. But in terms of dollar, now it will not be $5. Instead, it will become equal to $4. So in absolute terms, has India's GDP increased? Of course, yes. In absolute rupee terms, India's GDP has expanded. But the problem is when rupee loses value in terms of dollar, when the GDP numbers are converted, that number will be smaller. So on one side, Indian rupee has lost value, and on the other side, the Britain's pound, the British currency, pound, has gained value. According to various estimates, since 2024, the pound has gained somewhere around 5 percentage value against the dollar. And in the global market, because of uncertainty, volatility, etc., the dollar demand also has increased because it is generally considered as a safe haven. So dollar has become stronger, rupee has become weaker, the Britain's pound has become stronger. All of this has basically led to dragging down of India's GDP value in terms of dollars, and the UK's GDP number has increased. That has led to change in the ranking. Second very important reason that has led to change in the ranking is the rebasing exercise that has been conducted by the government very recently. The government of India has changed the base year for the calculation of GDP. With the change in the base year, automatically lot of methods which are used for the data collection, lot of technology or the tools, etc., will be brought into implementation. As a result of this, the GDP number for the same time period, I repeat, the GDP number for the same time period will be revised with the new GDP methodology being adopted. Now, this was announced by the government very recently. As a result of this, have a look at the impact of the new GDP methodology or the new GDP base year. What has happened? The updated government data released in February shows that the nominal GDP has been revised down from 357 lakh crore to 345.5 lakh crore rupees under the new GDP base year methodology. So with this, what has happened? For the same time period, the GDP number has been revised downwards. You add one more factor, that is the depreciation of value of the domestic currency. You will realize that because of these two factors acting together, the overall value of the GDP of Indian economy, when you count it in terms of dollars, when you calculate in terms of dollars, has become much lower. And that is very much visible when you look at the table that has been provided according to the latest data published by IMF. So, according to the initial estimates or the previous estimates, India was supposed to become the fourth largest economy by 2028, financial year 28. Now, that has been extended. We will be overtaking Germany to become the third largest economy only in the financial year 31, that is 2031. Right, so these are certain very important points regarding the discussion that is happening in the last 2 days. But more important, should you be worried about only the GDP numbers? Should we always focus on the GDP numbers? Better than the GDP number, there is one more very important indicator, that is GDP per capita. GDP per capita. Because remember, GDP simply represents the sum total of all the final goods and services. That will not give you any kind of information regarding how much individually everybody on an average is earning. Of course, the GDP per capita will give you this information, but it doesn't represent exactly how much income you're going to earn. This will simply tell you on an average what is the earnings of every individual in India. So rather than being focused only on the GDP numbers, do we need to increase the GDP numbers? Of course, yes. Do we want to become the third largest economy? Even overtake China to become the second largest? Even overtake USA to become the largest economy in the world? Why not? We should do that. We should achieve that. But should only that be the end goal? Absolutely no. We should also focus on GDP per capita number. We should also focus on to what extent we are able to achieve the objectives of inclusive growth with rapid GDP growth that we are achieving. In the context of GDP per capita, what is the latest data say? What does the latest data say? In terms of rupees per annum, the earnings in India is around 2.4 lakh rupees. Per person, it is around 2.4 lakh rupees. And when you convert this into dollar terms, in terms of dollars, it is somewhere around $2,900. Of course, from one year to the next year, they will keep on changing. The exchange rate will have an influence over it. The change in the GDP will have an influence over it. Right? So please make a note of this. Should you increase the GDP? Yes. But at the same point of time, focus on GDP per capita and also focus on achieving inclusive growth objective, as it was mentioned as a central theme in the 11th 5-year plan, in the 12th 5-year plan, and multiple reforms, even after the end of planning, are being implemented by the government of India in order to achieve the objectives of inclusive growth in the most populated country in the world, that is India. What are your thoughts regarding this? Do let me know in the comment section of the video. If you're yet to subscribe to the Unacademy IAS YouTube channel, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Have a great day.